When I stopped having protein, especially for girls, I think it happens, there's a lot of hair fall. It's like a direct correlation for me in terms of my protein intake and the hair fall that I'm having.
Yeah, so I basically started making shakes at home and I felt like I was feeling better having those shakes rather than those protein shakes.
Feeling better in the sense of
As in terms of
digestion?
digestion, recovery also, I think I was feeling okay. I was not missing out on anything after you consumed.
Diet happens to be a very important part in terms of say bodybuilding as such. And what I also got to know is that basically if you're about 1 gram equivalent of your kg or more than that is what you're supposed to have as protein. So if you are actually, and that's for everyone, regardless of your bodybuilding or not, about 0.8 to 1 gram equivalent of your kg. So if you're about 80 kgs and if you're into fitness, you need to at least have 1.5 times of that. So close to 120 to 130 grams of protein on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the Consumer Show. Today we are getting into the protein. So why protein? Because it's one of the growing industry and we want to know how people consume protein and what type of protein do they consume in their day-to-day lifestyle. So here we have two consumers. One has a whey protein, one has a plant-based protein. Let's deep dive into their consumer behavior and get to know more about them. So you can introduce yourself and tell us which brand of protein intake powder you use and why do they use it and how come you reached to the particular brand?
My journey with protein started back in 2016, in my last year of undergrad. And I started with Muscle Blaze.
You started in undergrad?
Yeah.
Why? What motivated you to start?
I think I started hitting gym in undergrad more sincerely. I did hit the gym in my class 12th, but that was hardly for a month or two. But then I hit the gym more sincerely when I was in my undergrad. So to have because I'm a vegetarian, I don't have a much of a protein diet in general. I don't usually like milk products. So to complement and supplement all those protein, I started on to protein. I started with Muscle Blaze, but then eventually shifted on to Muscle Tech.
Okay, you started with Muscle Blaze.
Muscle Blaze, yeah.
And then you shifted to Muscle Tech.
Muscle Tech.
Why was the change?
It was recommended by my gym trainer, but then I did find the differences between the two brands.
What he said you to convince?
It's better absorption in terms of quality and better digestion and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, on some parameters, this is better than Muscle Blaze.
Okay.
Yeah.
You?
And I also started gymming in my undergrad and that's when I started my protein journey. And I started with one of those. I started with Optimum Nutrition.
Okay.
And that also was recommended by a lot of people who used to come to my gym and a lot of trainers. And I was one of those skinny kids who wanted to like bulk up, and also I was like, okay, even I'll have proteins and all. But then that went on for a while. Then I moved to Avatar. It's an Indian brand by Govardhan cheese producers. So I went to that. Then in 2020, I stopped consuming protein because of COVID, and then I started making my own shakes at home, like my milkshakes or whatever. What do you call that?
Protein shakes.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can just keep rolling.
Yeah, so I basically started making shakes at home, and I felt like I was feeling better having those shakes rather than those protein shakes.
So feeling better in the sense of
as in terms of digestion, recovery also, I think I was feeling okay. I was not missing out on anything after consuming those. Then I stopped consuming protein for a while. Now when I'm back at ISB, I think my diet has gone for a toss. So then I wanted to supplement my diet with protein. Then I went to plant-based protein. That also happened because I researched a bit and came across a documentary called The Game Changers, wherein they talk about plant-based protein, and that really influenced me to move to plant-based protein.
What was the point you got influenced in the documentary?
So basically, the documentary talks about this one MMA trainer who was in the US Marine Corps, if I'm not wrong.
Name of the trainer?
I don't remember the name.
Okay.
But it's a documentary on Netflix, and he talks about how he moved from meat consumption, like he got an injury and he moved from meat consumption to plant-based protein. And then they talk about all the athletes in the world who have made that change and saw performance improvement in their respective sports. They have even spoken about Virat Kohli, Lewis Hamilton and all that.
So what are the aspects you took? You took the performance aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not obviously not that kind of an athlete, but basically it kind of validated this thing that maybe I don't need a whey protein in my diet and maybe I can do without it.
So like there's two contradictory opinions here. Like why do you think the whey protein is not needed? Like what made you feel it?
So honestly, I used to think that the moment I start having whey protein, I'll get big muscles and all, which was a very bad.
Which is not the case.
Yeah, it
Trust
is
me, which
not
is
the
not the
case.
case.
Legit
Yeah, yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
It
it's a
is.
big one.
It is a supplement. Like you need to have your diet in place. Without that, it's not gonna happen. And then I was a very naive consumer back then when I started. I was a teenager. I think 17, 18 or whatever.
One thing, like one basic fundamental things, like when people started, start consumption of the protein, they take it as a supplements.
Yeah.
Basically, it comes from the gym trainers or else another friend or anyone.
Correct.
So, is it the same journey? And what are the aspects you get influenced at the earlier age, like 17, 18, same with you? What are the bigger aspect? Like, is gym trainer is a bigger aspect of your decision making, or else your intuition is more?
I think it's more a function of like most of my friends have started taking protein as soon as they started at the gym, because sometimes it's this psyche wherein they feel that they don't have enough protein diet.
How do you feel? Like you're like.
It's what everyone thinks about, like because when we go to the gym, we see.
No, as a non-consumer, how do you end up being a consumer? That's the journey I want
See,
to know.
as soon as we hit the gym, we see people who have been doing gym for quite some time. They are taking their protein, and I think that's the influence point, and that's the tipping point where we also feel like, okay, let's also start taking the protein.
Okay. Any marketing aspect of the brand influence in your decision making?
I mean, for me, it didn't, because back then social media wasn't. I mean, at that point wherein I was
Today?
I have been a consumer of muscle tech for quite some time.
How many years?
I think 4-5 years now.
Okay.
Like since 16, I have been taking. I think I took 1 kg or 1 or 2 kgs of muscle blaze. Post that, I have been taking muscle tech.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you immediately switched it up.
I think it's the loyalty now.
So like you've been more than 7 years.
Yeah.
So 7 years, what are the changes in the ingredients? Have you observed it? How do you look at the ingredients, and do you look at the upgradation in the same muscle tech whey protein, or else it's
No, I
just
think
like
it's quite stagnant for quite some time.
okay.
It hasn't changed as such. I mean, there are different variants, isolate and concentrate and stuff, depending on what kind of carbohydrate they contain. Otherwise, there's no much variation.
You look at ingredients specifically when you buy.
I think this is quite general for some, like unless you are like really into muscle building and stuff, it matters. Otherwise, for a newbie and someone who has just started the gym, this protein works.
Okay. So in terms of you, like you from the way to plant, it's a documentary and multiple things.
Yeah.
But even in the beginning, the protein from the beginning, what was your main instinct? Like what's the bigger motivation for it?
So like I said, my thing was that I didn't want to be skinny. So everyone around me in the gym was having everyone around me in the gym were having
So it's the same
was having
journey.
protein shakes around, and I mean the trainers also try to sell it to me. The trainers maybe have an incentive to
Which
do
was
that.
the first brand you
Optimum
buy?
Nutrition. Optimum Nutrition.
If you ever regretted any brand you bought and then you felt like this is not for me?
I didn't really regret it, but I mean I could do without it. When I bought it, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna change my fitness journey and all that. It was all a myth. It doesn't happen like that. And I was a very naive consumer back then. Like I didn't care about what is in that, what goes into the protein and all. Is this that, oh, I go to the gym, I need to have a protein shaker in my hand and I need to consume protein.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the psyche back then. But then it changed over time. Like after COVID, I think, especially when I started working out at home, I realized that I don't maybe
Where do you look out for the validation? Like how many times you have to consume and how much intake you have to take, how many grams? Like gym, apart from gym trainers, you look for the other social validations?
Yeah, so basically what I've heard is ideally one should have, suppose your body weight is XYZ kg, you multiply that by 2 and that amount of grams of protein you need in your body. That's what I've been told and that's what I read also. So let's say I'm 62, so then I need to have at least 144 grams of protein in my body. A scoop of protein will give you maximum like 24-ish grams of protein. The other part of the protein needs to come out from the diet. So that's what I've been told, and I think that's what you.
That's true. I mean, but then twice the weight is a theory, like for those who are like really into muscle building and stuff. So that was also one of my reason that why I started taking protein, because I'm a vegetarian. I only have eggs. I don't eat non-veg as such. So I was not able to meet my protein targets, and that's why I wanted to supplement my protein with the whey protein. And so I think this gives us around 30 grams of protein. So if I weigh 80 kgs, I have never been able to touch 160 target, and so I supplement roughly around 60 grams. I take 2 scoops a day, and
scoops a day.
yeah, 2 scoops a day, like around 60 from whey and rest from my diet.
Okay. And there's also a word called on and off. Like you only consume when you're going to gym.
Which is a bad idea. You should take the protein because protein, your body needs protein. It's not like if you have hit the gym today, you need protein today, and you don't need protein today tomorrow. You need protein
And why only whey protein? Why not plant protein?
I mean, I've never thought about it in a way. Like I have felt like I feel good. The digestion is good. Results are good. So I've never felt like why should I switch?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? Like you haven't got any results and you haven't felt anything good about the whey protein?
Yeah, I mean, when I started consuming it, it happened to be more of a gimmick, I thought.
Okay.
Because I didn't see
You
any
thought
results.
whey
My
protein
gym
is a
partner
gimmick.
also, yeah, my friend who was working out with me for 3 years also didn't see much of a result. And then some of them told us to like move to mass gainers and this and that.
How do you track the results? Like when you're consuming protein, how do you measure the results? Like whether it's working for me or not? How much time you spend on it to gain the results?
I think it's a long-term gain, long term kind of a thing, because you won't feel as such like you won't feel the benefits in a day or two. It's a 3-4 month journey, and more than you, other would start telling you like you have started gaining muscles and stuff. You can feel something in your body. Your clothes don't fit you anymore, like something, or they fit more tight. So like yeah, those
So
are the
like,
parameters.
for him, like it's different. Like you felt like it's not giving any results. Like
Yeah.
like how
As
how
in,
did you measure it?
I was never into like starting when I started off hitting the gym. I thought that I want to be like big and muscular and all, but then I am also someone who plays a lot of sports. So then I realized I don't want to be very bulky and all. So I took a very conscious decision of not going too much into my protein intake and all that. I just wanted to be someone who's fit, who plays well. That was my goal. So I stopped that, and I realized that that is not what I need in my body for so much. Like I don't need so much protein in my body, and I don't need to keep having those protein scoops every day.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I was also told by some people to have like 2 scoops a day, and it depends from person to person what your
The
goal is
person
in life.
behind you is
Yeah,
taking
I mean,
exactly.
same,
I was-
actually.
the same thing
I'm
was told
saying
to
it
me
depends
also.
on what
Yeah,
kind
it depends
of
on what you
target.
want to do
What's your
ahead.
target of
Yeah.
protein intake?
And how come you ended up with Cosmics, right?
Yeah, so this was recommended by a friend, and then I used to see their ads on Instagram also, and then I was like, let's just try it. When I came to ISB, I thought I want some or the other protein intake because I wanted to play a lot of games over here.
Okay.
I started with football, badminton, and all that, and even if I'm hitting the gym at least like twice or thrice a week, I'm gonna play something or the other. And like he said, it's not that only when you go to the gym you're supposed to have a protein. So I wanted some or the other source of protein, and then I knew that I didn't want to buy
Why only
on.
Cosmics then? Like there are multiple other plant-based proteins, right?
Yeah, honestly, this was just recommended by my friend. They said it tastes okay. It is
And
quite
are you
authentic.
measuring the results now? Like are you seeing any progress?
As in, this has been with me for like the last 3 months, so like it still takes time. And 3 months also, I think I'm not having it very regularly because of the ISP schedule.
Okay.
I'm not very regular, so I think it'll take time. But I'm happy with the protein. I mean, it helps in digestion. I don't feel very bloated when I have this protein, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with
And
this.
what's the ideal time to take the protein?
Right after the workout, I think.
For me, I think like
You said even if you're not going to gym, you also need to take. So apart from the workout, like what's the ideal time?
I mean, for protein, protein in general needs to be divided throughout the day. So you don't have to feed on protein like early in the morning or just late at the night. So if I'm taking 100 grams of protein, I have to make sure that those are well balanced and divided within
So
the
you
time.
make a shaker.
So like for before classes, I do take my oats and protein. I make a
In the morning?
Yeah, so I soak oats with protein and almonds at night, and I do take to 8 a.m. classes.
Okay.
And
And then at night once?
at night, yeah.
Okay.
And at night I make a shake and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. You?
I just have it after either my workout or any game that I'm playing on the campus.
Okay.
Right after that, I have it.
Okay. And also tell me like how much do you or how much in your budget lifestyle how protein plays an important role? Like in general, these external proteins you think as a supplements, how do you think those are important?
And budget part, it does not that percentage of a budget. This cost me around 10.5, around 11,000, depending on what kind of discount I'm
And
getting.
how many months you gonna?
So this lasts around 2.5 months. Yeah.
Okay. Per month 3,000
So
you can.
per month, around 3.5
Yeah.
it costs. Yeah.
You?
For me, I am very conscious about how much I spend on protein because I don't want to be a big spender on protein shakes and all. So this one's pretty decent. I guess it's around 2.5ish, 2.5, 2.6, and lasts me around 1.5 to 2 months.
Okay.
And yeah, I take a very conscious decision of not spending too much on my this thing, because I think this is not something very important to me. It is just a supplement for now, because like I said, I cannot supplement my diet with protein over here. I think after ASB maybe I'll stop consuming this and maybe I'll go back to making my own shakes.
Why?
Just, I mean, like I said, this is not.
You're more comfortable making your own than the other.
Yeah, I mean, if I have the time and if I have the opportunity, I think I'll make my own shakes, because I like making my own shakes. It's tastier, also much better than this. And I mean, the goal is to be fitter, right? The goal is not to consume protein. So yeah.
What do you say on his thought actually?
I mean, it totally depends, because protein in general, Indian diet is not that protein rich, because usually some people are, if not all, many people are vegetarian. If you are vegetarian, we say that lentils and all these things are good in protein. Yeah, they are rich in protein, but they are not protein source. They have protein, but they are not concentrated in protein. So even if you're having good amount of lentils throughout the day, they'll give you protein, but they are not concentrated in protein. With that protein, you also get carbs and stuff. So if you want to have a concentrated source of protein, I think whey works for me. And if you're not taking whey, if you're a non-vegetarian, then you can go for chicken and stuff. That also contains those diets are also rich in protein.
Okay. So and like while you're like buying a purchase decision, so what are the exact things you look like if you want to recommend someone, if you want to evaluate another protein brand? What are the ingredients or what are the things you look after? Does brand of the branding or the communication of the any brand matters a lot?
I think it does in a way, because as far as switching cost is not that high, because if I bought this, I'll finish this up in a month or two, and if I didn't like it, I can easily switch on to some other. So since switching cost is like really low, brand has to, I think they have to ensure that the product delivers what they convey. So
the quality
yeah.
matters a lot.
Yeah, also taste.
Okay.
I mean,
taste,
I have tasted some of the proteins of my like what my friend used to have. They taste horrible.
Okay.
Trust me. So the brand also with the same. Even in the muscle tech, I like cocaine cream much way better than they have the chocolate flavor. Yeah. So the taste matters to me. And price wise, yes, you can calculate like protein to price ratio and stuff. I think that's almost same for every other brand. And some brands also charge a premium, and I don't know like whether do they also deliver on that premium. I don't know that.
For me, more than the taste, it matters to me what the brand is selling to me and what exactly goes into my protein.
Story.
As in
Selling to you.
in the ingredients, I care a lot about ingredients and what goes into the protein.
What ingredients have you seen in cosmetics?
So in cosmetics, in fact, more than what ingredient goes over here, I think I'm more interested in what doesn't go over here. So there's no stevia, no added sugar, no gums, no enzymes, and that is what matters to me.
So
like I don't
you
want an
looked at
added sugar in my.
what is not added in it? Like rather than what's added in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very sure that I don't want to increase my sugar intake.
Okay.
Like I want to be very mindful of how much sugar I take, and anyway, I'm a foodie, so like I have a lot of ice creams and stuff, and I don't have any guilt for that.
Okay.
So if it's a protein shake which can taste better with no sugar, then why not?
Okay.
So then
Makes sense.
So like bloating has been a bigger issue with the protein. So how do you see it? And if you want to suggest something, so what one do you suggest and why do you suggest?
I mean, with this brand, I have never felt bloated.
Okay.
But my friend did take the same brand, but he felt bloated. So I think it's more a function of it's more a person-to-person thing.
So you say they have to try it and then they have to
Yeah.
But even trying, it comes with a price, right?
That's why the brand provides samples and stuff, maybe a 500 gram packet and stuff. Also, they sell the free variants of it.
Okay.
I think that's the reason they want us to switch. They want us to taste that.
So if you want to switch to another brand, which one do you switch? And do you want to switch?
Optimum, if I
Why?
ever do. I've heard like it's better. I've never tried it.
Why don't you try the sampling part? Like you want to try it?
I never got the free samples, to be honest.
Okay. So what about you? Like you in this plant protein, like what are the negatives and positive actually?
Negatives, I'm not too sure. Like I haven't heard any. Positives, again, they just market about how it doesn't have any whey. It is vegan. I am not too bent upon having vegan stuff. I mean, I'm okay with having dairy. But apart from that, I think it says that your gut health is much better. And I agree. Like when I was having on, I used to feel very bloated and I used to have digestion issues. Like I was stupid at that time. Like I used to focus only on having protein. Like when I started, I was very naive. So I used to have like 2 scoops a day without even balancing it out. Like I used to have 2 scoops together.
Okay.
And
I think
that
it's
used to
more a
feel
function
horrible.
of how a person digests protein,
Yeah,
because I don't feel bloated with whey, but I do feel bloated and constipated when I take too much of eggs.
Okay.
So if I have, like, say, if I'm like really serious about my gym, and if I start taking, say, around 18-20 eggs a day, so then I'll feel, yeah, okay, I can feel like it's bloated. I need to take a break on protein.
Okay.
And it's not like it's not because of whey, but I think it's the protein overloading that
okay.
happens in the body, and
Okay.
that's what
I
leads
think
to.
it happens, like depends from person to person. Like I
And
think
Same, I
choose
think.
your
switch
own
another
brand.
Which one do you switch?
I mean, I would have to look for other brands that do.
But
as
surely
good a
one from
job
the
as-
plant-based.
I think I would stick to plant-based if I wanted to. Like
So
because
why
I know
was
I'm not
that
gonna
the
go back
core
to. I know
decision
I'm not
now?
gonna go back to optimum nutrition for sure.
What was the core decision you have, like what made you feel that, like, I'll stick to plant, or else I'll go to my own protein?
I mean, it's just the fact that it doesn't have a lot of. I think optimum nutrition puts sugar. I just have that feeling because when I have this, I know that
What
there's
made
no
you
sugar.
feel that, like, actually what
The
makes you
taste
think-
itself, like
Okay.
it tastes too good to
Okay.
be not sugar.
So do you feel like tasting too good is kind of added sugar kind of flavor?
It feels like it at least.
Oh, this one, like, do you feel the same? Like the taste does it feel so good?
Of course, it does contain sugar. It does taste sweet,
Okay.
and I think that's one of the reason it sells, because if it doesn't taste good, I wouldn't be taking it.
Yeah, I think this one I didn't really like the taste when I started it, but I think from the 3rd or 4th serving onwards, the taste grew onto me. Now
I
I
guess
in
it's
fact
an
look
acquired
forward to
taste.
having this taste.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like taste is a bigger aspect.
it is
For me,
yeah.
at least. I
And
mean.
then, like, once you sample and whether it's feeling bloated or not is a bigger aspect.
Correct.
And then price is also a bigger aspect.
Yeah.
So how much is the last willingness you want to pay for the one sachet of protein for 1 month?
I mean, not month-wise, but I have been conditioned to the fact that protein roughly costs you around 12,000. Like this
It's
cost
for
me
3
around.
months, right? Like,
No, but then per kg basis, my mind works in a like,
kg.
yeah, per kg wise. So around 3,035 fish
per month you want to allocate it.
per kg.
Okay, per kg.
So now my monthly consumption depend on how much gym I am hitting, what kind of like, because I am also like, I know that we should take protein daily, but then I usually take more protein when I'm hitting the gym or when I'm more physically active.
So
that's
tell
the
me
reason.
overall, include the eggs, include the protein and other things which you take as a protein intake. How much you spend on your supplement?
On monthly basis?
Yeah, on the monthly basis.
I think on monthly basis, the protein around 3,000 for protein, and eggs roughly, if I would say I consume 10 eggs, 60, 1,800, 2,000, roughly 2,000, around 5,000-6,000.
For protein.
I mean, eggs also give you more than just protein, and so yeah.
Okay.
So because of I am conscious about my protein diet, I do take eggs, I do take paneer and stuff. So like roughly around 5,000. This also includes the other part of my diet. So
You?
Now I'll have to do a guesstimate because I never really have calculated it, but I think around 2.5-ish per month, because I don't think this lasts me. This thing lasts me more than a month. Like 1 kg of it will last me more than a month, and plus I'm a vegetarian, so I don't really spend a lot on protein as such. I mean, I have my paneer, I have my dals, so that's
it's a
more like
daily
it.
lifestyle based
I
thing.
don't like consciously spend keep a specific budget for my protein intake.
Okay.
but then if we actually see paneer also costs you, like if we calculate it in
So that comes under
Protein.
like homemade things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
homemade. Yeah.
the protein intake
so
is
paneer is
something-
also not cheap if you like calculate gram
Okay.
to wise, rupees
Ah.
wise. So it's also not cheap, because one of the factors then people consider while taking protein is that, oh, it's expensive. But if we actually calculate for the eggs and the paneer, it's also not that cheap.
that's true. Like 5,000 and 2 to 3,000 I can consider. Only 2,000.
I mean, yeah, 2 to 3. I mean, probably.
So here we have a non-consumer Ravi. I know you have been using protein since a long time. So tell us more about yourself, your journey, and why you have been using it. And we'll also pitch Ravi why one protein which you are using, and we at the end we can see whether you can have an intent to intake of protein or not. Okay, you can introduce yourself and tell us which brand of protein you're using, why you're using it, and how come you ended up over there.
Yeah, so I'm Sathwik, and I come from Bangalore, and I've been having Optimum Nutrition for the last, I think, 5 to 6 years, close to that. My journey started more with when I started working out, and I went to my trainer to ask about how can I really improve my muscle mass. The first thing they told me was 70% of what you do happens in the kitchen, and the 30% is what you do happens in the gym. So diet happens to be a very important part about, I mean, in terms of say bodybuilding as such. And what I also got to know is that basically if you're about 1 gram equivalent of your kg or more than that is what you're supposed to have as protein. So if you are actually, and that's for everyone, regardless of your bodybuilding or not, about 0.8 to 1 gram equivalent of your kg. So if you're about 80 kgs and if you're into fitness, you need to at least have 1.5 times of that. So close to 120 to 130 grams of protein on a day-to-day basis.
And how do you track it?
So we do have applications, and there's always internet before the applications came in. So I used to use apps like Healthify and stuff. And over a period of time, I was able to build an intuitive sense of how much amount of protein does each of these food come about. So that's when I realized that with our normal Indian diet, it's very difficult to maintain that intake, and that's when the whole introduction of whey came into the picture. And that's when I started understanding more about the nutrients, about how much each one of these weigh, and try to fit it in my daily calorie intake. So that's my protein story. So basically, there used to be a time when I used to have 2 or 3 eggs, a lot of chicken, but still I was not able to get the results, because an egg just comes with about 6 grams of protein. So you need to have a lot of eggs to get to 120. And maybe a chicken breast would just about 200 grams of chicken breast would just give you about 60 grams of protein. So that way, to make it more balanced, to ensure that I have that wholesome protein intake on a regular basis, whey really helped me out. And a scoop of
and
it.
in whey, how do you find out? How do you found out the on?
Yeah, so basically, when I was introduced to this, what I was first told is that there are a lot of fake brands in India. India as a protein market, it's excessively adulterated. There are a lot of fake players who come with different kinds of products, and it's very difficult to distinguish. With Optimum Nutrition, it's basically a foreign brand, and the way they authenticate it, you basically have a scanner within this, a small scratch card. You need to put that code online, and then you get a message that this is actually true. It's an authenticated product.
Okay.
So that's how you get to know that this is a true product. And
so the validation made you believe in it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So, and in fact, a couple of times when I went online on Flipkart or Amazon, I've even got fake products of whey, where I've done the scratch card and I've got from the message that this is an invalid product.
Okay.
That made me believe that okay, the market is for real. I mean, the market, the whole scam that happens around the protein place is actually for real. So.
And how many years you have been using the same brand?
I've been using Ultimate Nutrition and Optimum Nutrition in alternative for about 5 to 6 years now.
And why you're switching the brands?
So honestly, there's not a lot of difference between both of it. So it's just the change in flavor to just keep it interesting. That's the only thing. There's no specific reason as such.
The taste matters.
The taste matter. I think it's just different. I mean, if you have to ask me, they are both in the same price range, and they give the same amount of protein. Like one scoop gives you about 24 grams of protein and 5 grams of carbs, which is optimal for the price point it comes. You obviously have better proteins, like you have the isolates and you'd have also the hydrolysate. But this is kind of a blend, which is pretty reasonable for the price point that I'm looking for. And
what's the price point?
So this comes, 900 grams of this comes for about 2.5 to 3K, depending on the offer that you have. And the more expensive ones, like if you go for the isolates and you go for the hydrolysate.
How long does it last?
So you have 29 scoops. So if you're gymming regularly, a month to 45 days. So that's the average time it comes up.
So per month it's?
Basically one scoop costs you 100 rupees.
Okay.
To make it simple as that.
Okay.
So and that's the kind of cost.
Okay, we'll get into the other part. Like you can start with your intro and tell us.
Sure. So hi, I'm Anusheela. I actually started with this, I think somewhere around college, similar to him when I started to work out. What happened with me was it was more of a, I think, body image issue, which was that I was losing weight. When I started working out, I started losing weight very quickly, and so I actually went to the doctor with my parents and everything. It became a little serious that what is happening, and apparently my body did not have enough protein to kind of keep up with the workout that I was doing. So the doctor also recommended that I increase protein in the diet, and that's how I started exploring this journey. This whole logic of 1 gram thing, the same thing I was also told. And so then I started exploring and researching, and I tried a bunch of different
what are the brands? What the first brand you tried and you felt like, this is shitty?
No, so I started with, I think, Muscle Blaze.
Okay.
I started with Muscle Blaze. I used Muscle Blaze Fuel 1 for a couple of months, and that was also based on some recommendation. I used that for a couple of months. Then came across some news that apparently it's not very clean and this, that. So then I started researching for more cleaner brands.
Cleaner in the sense, like, what do you mean by cleaner?
I mean, like he was saying, not adulterated, not fake, right? So essentially, even though Muscle Blaze will claim that they have no sugar and they have the very, they will claim to have all the right ingredients. But if you actually look at their ingredient list, they have some harmful, ingredients within them. There's guar gum and things like that, which ideally you should not be consuming as regularly as you consume protein. So I actually tried Cosmix as well, and I did not like the taste.
Here we have two.
Yeah.
One who tried Muscle Blaze, one who is trying Cosmix regularly.
Yeah, I know. I was discussing with him that I did not like Cosmix at all. I bought that entire 1 kg, and the first scoop I took, I was like, I can't have this daily for sure.
Okay.
So I ended up not having that at all. Then I tried Whey Protein, which is also an international brand. Whey Protein is actually really good, well reputed as well. But again, the taste.
But how? Tell me one thing. Like, how does branding on the marketing aspect influence in your purchase decision?
I think for me, the most important factors are two. One is whether a trusted person is recommending it to me, someone who I know and has tried it and it's tested, well recommended by them. And second is the ingredient list and whether I can tell that is it actually clean or is it not.
Okay.
So
you check for the ingredients specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I put in some effort to check is it really harmful for my body or not.
And how come you ended up the whole truth, right?
Yeah. So after Whey Protein, I didn't like that taste also. So I was kind of like in the middle. Sometimes Whey Protein, sometimes this. It was like that. Whole Truth released their protein, I think, a few months back only, which was 4-5 months back.
Who recommended you?
Nobody had to recommend Whole Truth to me because I was already a regular consumer of the Whole Truth protein bars.
Okay.
I would have them very regularly. I used to have them muesli also, and I in general used to love the Whole Truth branding and the message that they have created around their brand. I think they do this really well. They know how to communicate that their products are clean and come from a place of authenticity, so to say. So I know if I'm having this, I can trust that they haven't put anything bad in it.
Like how come this trust developed? Like, is it by the messaging?
Yeah, probably. Messaging over time. I think they're very open about the ingredients that they use. They also take a lot of effort in educating customers. So if you see the ads that Whole Truth runs, Shashank comes himself and he will not be selling the product to you, but he will explain how the product is different from others. So a lot of their protein ads also do this, that why is it that their protein bars, for example, are chunky? They're not sticky, they're chunky, they will fall apart. That's because they haven't put any gum or any of those artificial things to keep it together, right? So I think they have those proof points and reasons to believe that they are telling the truth, so to say.
Okay, and now, like after that, you became a consumer of Whole Truth since how many months?
About 4-5 months now.
Okay, and how you're liking it?
I really like it. So the taste also works for me, which is an important factor, and I know that I can trust it.
Okay.
So it's been working well for me. The only thing is it's a little expensive, but given that it is an important part of my health, I've kind of made that choice to put in.
Like for two of you, one question so that we can get to Ravi. So do you think protein is necessary even with or without gym?
You absolutely need it. So
without gym also it's needed.
The proportionality.
But why the perception is more of associated with the gym?
So that's because one thing is, if you're into those physical exercises and you want to actually build your muscle mass, you need to have a higher volume of it. Say for example, it becomes from, instead of having 0.8 grams equivalent of your kg, you need to push it to 1.5 or 2. So if you were to be an 80 kilo person, 120 or 135 is what you need to have. And without that, you would not be able to see as much results. And people just inherently assume that having dals and pulses and all the vegetarian stuff that people normally do would be sufficient to take care of their daily protein needs, which is not entirely true. And I think another point which you're mentioning about in terms of identifying about what is a pure protein and which is not an impure protein, a very simple way is just to look at the ingredients. So I think the Whole Foods brand has done that really well, because generally they say the thumb rule is, if at all the packaging provides
if they
you
are really doing well, why don't you switch to Whole Foods?
it's obviously expensive,
Okay.
and
That
I'm
will
okay
come the
with
pricing point.
I'm okay with having 4 to 5 grams of carbohydrates. For that little incremental bit, I'm okay with doing that trade-off.
Okay.
So basically, when any good brand, if you were to understand if it's a good brand or not, if they're providing the amino profile, basically what's the breakdown of all the different kinds of components that are going inside, you get to see what's the leucine content in that. That's when you know that it's a really good protein. And when they really describe, now for example, Protein X, which is more at the lower end of it. So my mom has Protein X because her doctor prescribed, or one of the people prescribed. So for every scoop of it, it has 2 spoons of sugar. 9 grams of sugar.
Why did you tell her the whole truth then?
No, after I told, she obviously switched.
Okay.
So I'm saying this is well before I used to have this actively.
Okay.
So in that way, Optim Nutrition, it just has 1 gram of sugar. So 1 gram is just a quarter of a teaspoon.
Okay.
So that makes a very big difference in terms of the amount of sugar and the fat and the carbohydrates that goes into it. So that's what basically distinguishes. So the cheaper priced proteins generally have more of these impurities, which are kind of packaged as protein. Which would definitely have some bit of protein, but not as much as that would be there in the higher priced bucketed protein powders.
Okay.
Yeah, and just one more point, because you asked whether you should use protein even when you're not working out. Even at ISB, I don't think I've been very regular with my workout routines. But
no one is, except Sathwik.
Except Sathwik, of course. But I think it still helps a lot. I noticed that when I stopped having protein, especially for girls, I think it happens, there's a lot of hair fall. It's like a direct correlation for me in terms of my protein intake and the hair fall that I'm having.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah,
How did you figure it out? Like,
I mean, I stopped. Like, I used to do a lot of hit and trial like this, right?
Okay.
So whenever I stop, I notice that my hair fall is going off the charts, and then when I start having it again, it comes a little back in control.
Okay.
Because hair is also based off of protein, right? So
Okay.
you need to like maintain protein, not just if you're working out, but in general to have a good, healthy, balanced lifestyle.
and how many scoops you take in a day?
I actually don't fill the entire thing, so like probably 3/4 of a scoop.
Every
And
day?
I also don't have it every day. If there's a day that I know I'm getting chicken or egg intake, then I probably don't go for it. Sometimes it's just a quick breakfast, honestly. I have that shaker, and with our 8 a.m. class, I will just put this shake and just this becomes my breakfast then. So it's also easy and healthy breakfast for me.
So here you can introduce yourself and tell us why you never consumed and what's your perception towards protein.
So yeah, I am Ravi Krishna. So I'm from the Tier 2 city and worked in an environment where I didn't have many people who consumed. So I believe one of the major cue that hits you is whether people around you are also having it, because they will recommend and you're going to have that in your diet. That's one reason. 2, I also feel that there is lot of knowledge at both the sides. You have one positive and at the same time you have negative. So some say you should have it because, as they told, 1 gram of your weight or 1 kg should have 1 gram or 1.2, 1.5 and all different people say different things. But the other way is people also say it's also not good for your digestion, your indigestion problems, your your bloating issue, your gut health issue.
That's a big
I'll
issue.
get to that.
And also in the previous discussion that we have, I also saw that people were saying each brand works for a particular person.
Yeah.
And they don't have smaller packs to just try as well.
Yeah.
You need to buy a lot of 1 kg, and she told the taste didn't work for her, she was able to.
Yeah.
Such a costly thing, and I don't know how it works.
Okay.
The third thing also, because I'm from an environment of a Tier 2 city, my family also believes that as they were growing, we have grown now. We don't have any issues. Why do you think this is required for you? That's also a common perception that is there in your environment. So coming out of that and seeing these days, I think there is also a trend, right? Your millet trend and healthy diet, and your balanced food diet is enough for you instead of these things. And the other thing I also see is, as she told, I believe the hair fall is because your body got accustomed with eating protein at a higher rate, because it's not like a multi-nutrient that is going, it's only
but
concentrated
I want
protein.
your perspective, like not the general perspective.
So all these together, I am feeling whether I should try or not.
Okay.
If I try, if my body gets accustomed with this, I need to give it again and again. I can't stop, as she told.
It's like a drug, you feel like.
Yes, so somewhere like that. So is it a balanced diet that is better, or is it
That's
I
a valid
think
point. Like, if you
like-
want to contradict and convince him.
Yeah, so
what will
I
you
kind
say?
of understand where he's coming from in terms of say the perception, because even now when I kind of consume it at home, my mom or my dad would be like, don't have this, what kind of powders are you having, are you
Yeah.
sure what you know about? So that's when we actually do the research, try to understand better. Obviously, I would not say that we would know everything that goes behind this, but at least to a reasonable extent from whatever information that's available out on the internet, you can make good informed choices.
So what will you say to him, like specific to Ravi as a person?
So, first of all, the most important part about having protein, regardless of your workout regime or not, I think first of all, everybody needs to work out. It need not be in gym. It could be any kind of physical exercise to kind of strengthen your muscles and make sure your bones are intact, so that you have the necessary strength to go through your day-to-day activities, and when you grow old also you'll have the necessary resilience as well. Secondly, if you're having a good balanced diet which includes all the proteins and vitamins, then you can possibly avoid. But the thing is that if you want to, it's so much more easier with this. That's the one way I would say. It's not that not having, you're missing out on anything. As long as you're having like a lot of
like,
meat and stuff
no,
like that.
Sathwik, you're saying a broader perspective. Here, I want like specific to Ravi as a consumer. You imagine you're the proper consumer. If you want to make him convert, what are the aspects you're gonna look at his person and tell to him?
So first, I would try to understand whether he is on course of trying to get into say fitness, or he wants to do muscle, get into some kind of fitness regime, or go to the gym, or get some muscle mass as such. If that is one of his requirements, then I would definitely recommend to have some kind of protein supplement, which would be a clean protein supplement, which would not have a lot of carbs and fats. And ensure and see how his body reacts to it, because what he told about it, that every body reacts differently, is entirely true. So I know some people who have tried things like creatine, and for them things have not worked out well. But I have not faced any issue as such. So for me, that way, even whey has not been an issue. And some people also mix whey and they have it with milk. So some of the problems that you may be getting could also be because you're lactose intolerant. So those kinds of experiments and trial and error is something which you should do to check if it works out for your body. But I would say, if you're not lactose intolerant, whey is something which would definitely be helpful to you in order to ensure that you have that dietary requirement on a day-to-day basis at a consistent level, without having to do a lot of other things, like without having to compensate by having an additional stuff, which would be a lot of a hassle otherwise.
What do you say, Ravi?
So my basic doubt still is,
Yeah.
is your body going to get addicted, or is your body going to get accustomed to a concentrated source of protein?
So,
for example,
yeah.
in our childhood, glucose is one, they say you shouldn't have glucose more than only when you're sick they give you, not every day, because your body gets used to easy glucose.
Correct.
Similarly, if I give a protein directly like this without the other nutrients combination, is it going to be hard for my system? Second, is it going to be get used to it?
Yeah. So mainly when it comes to protein, the whole point, now I'm telling this from a place of not being a health expert or some kind of a doctor. So I just tell you from,
this is not a debate.
I get it.
It's not a debate. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm saying, just if you like, even if it's a wrong or right, I want your perspective to his point.
Got it. So from what I've learned is that your kidneys, basically it takes a toll on that because of the processing that it needs to be done when you have proteins. So unless you have an issue there, or you're having at a 2x or a 2.5x of your weight, where there's no stress being put on that, there's absolutely no issues of having protein at all, or at least whey for that matter. I can attest to it. And it's not that your body's gonna get used to it, because there have been phases for say 4 or 5 months during my preparation
On and
phases.
off you-
I've been off, and I've not seen any kind of say a disadvantage or any kind of deficiency happen to me at that point in time.
That's a valid point. Right?
So it's not that it's not first of all a medical supplement as such. It's just an enhancing supplement. So something which you're having to just boost your your protein intake on a day-to-day basis. So if you stop having it, it's not that some deficiency will happen.
Yeah.
It's like how people just say you need to have vitamin tablets, or someone
Yeah.
says you need to have calcium tablets. If you don't have it, nothing happens. But it's just easier to have it and then go about it.
If you want to pitch the whole truth to him, what will how will you pitch? Can you pitch to him?
So before
Now-
that, just to answer his first question, so I don't think you get addicted to it as such, because the question is, what is your current diet like? I think you need to look at your current diet, whether it has enough protein built in or not. In my case, even my current diet didn't have that, right? So when I left protein, in general also, it wasn't like I was filling up that with like natural sources. If I would have done that, probably I would not have faced hair fall. So it wasn't a question of addiction. It was more a question of, do I have enough protein for my hair to be healthy? I think that whether it's coming from natural sources or from a powder. So I think you don't have to be concerned about being addicted to it at all, as long as you're
That's a big
having-
statement actually.
No, also, as I told you, right, the macros are very simple. You need to have, say, with 70 kgs, you need to have about 100 grams of it. So, if as long as you're maintaining that through other sources, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
But to have it, you need to possibly have 60 grams of chicken. I
Yeah.
mean, 200 grams of chicken, so that you get 60 grams of protein. So you can make the math. And then to compensate for that, you need to have a lot of more fibers, or else you're going to have a hard time with so much of chicken.
Yeah.
So that's why it becomes so much more difficult. And fitting in protein or a whey makes it all the more easier. That's how I would see it.
So what about the
Yeah.
fiber when you're having whey protein or some other protein?
Yeah, so none of my other things which I have stops when I'm having whey protein. So I still have my fruits, I still have my veggies, the salads, my rice, the necessary carbs. This is just adding on another 25 grams of protein in the simplest form possible.
It's a
Same.
supplement. It's
It's a
supplement on the
supplement.
daily
Yeah,
like
same.
lifestyle.
It's not a
habits.
replacement
It's
for
not
a
a
meal,
replacement
Yeah.
for a meal,
unless you are
absolutely.
like me and you don't have time
Specifically,
for
you
breakfast.
you are well loved brand Whole Truth.
Yeah.
If you want to pitch him, be like a Whole Truth sales person and pitch it to him. I want to know what are the things you're gonna pitch to him.
Okay. They have a bunch of stuff written actually here.
You can say it because you know why he don't consume protein. Now,
Yeah.
So you have your beliefs. Now you can pitch and let's see how you're gonna pitch.
Okay, so see, I know that you were trying protein for the first time. So when you're trying protein for the first time, you want to go for a lighter protein that you know isn't filled with ingredients. Knowing you, I think you want something natural, right? So if you look at their ingredient list, you will see majority of their ingredients is actually natural things. There's dates, there's cocoa, even the sugar component that they use is natural, which is monk fruit, right? It's not actual sugar. That's why you see added sugar is 0. So I found it to be a very, very clean protein. Even sunflower lecithin, which is basically like this binding agent that they use in proteins, they have used very like negligible amounts of that, whereas probably in a muscle blaze it'll be much more. So if you want to start your protein journey, I think you can definitely give it a try. And by the way, they also have samplers. You said protein brands don't have samplers, but Whole Truth does have samplers. So I actually tried their sampler first. They have like small packets of 15 grams worth of protein each. So you just try that and see if that works for you. But personally, I think it has been a great like morning routine for me to have this. I just put it in a shaker. It's very easy. Mix it with milk or water, and basically like a nice chocolate milkshake, which is also healthy.
So also just want to maybe understand this one thing. Ravi, do you understand in terms of what is whey made of?
I did not. Maybe I just saw so much of knowledge is there,
Yeah.
and then
So
I
whey is
couldn't.
nothing but just milk.
Yeah.
When you do the paneer and you have the water extracted from it, it's just processed. You take off the carbs,
But
you
it's
take
a
off the fats.
concentrated thing. right?
Concentrated milk. So
But comes
ultimately,
from-
there's no processed stuff that
So
gets
which
added
one
to
do you
it.
prefer, concentrated or the natural
No,
one?
I know this brand because they were good in Instagram
Marketing.
and all this
Yeah.
promotion, and the name itself says Whole Truth.
So your
So
willingness is more
Willingness
on
is
the.
more on this.
So will you
because
buy if you try protein? Will you buy this one or the?
No, maybe I will also research on my
Yeah.
part because each one has. But this because they have
Based
a
on the
sample.
things which she said.
They have a sample, so I may be preferring Whole Truth because of the sample thing.
Yeah, how much percentage? 100 to like in 100%, how much do you prefer?
To try the protein,
Immediately
no, maybe 60 to 60, 70%.
Failed.
60-70%.
We
Failed
failed.
So and let's come to the pricing part. Like how pricing is important. If you want to try any protein, how much you're willing to pay for it. You and like you said, like you already how much you're like 2,000.
Yeah, so
but
this
like let's get on the whole protein per month. Like how much like your eggs include your chicken. Specifically for protein in your mind, how much you gonna allocate as a budget
So
consciously?
We can
maybe
go
for
first,
me
yeah.
right now, I will have definitely either paneer or chicken for sure for both the meals. In the morning, because as she told, the schedule was tight.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go take a oats shake and then go to the class. But rest, I think if you calculate, I think it's also costly to have chicken and paneer every day. I mean, at least in both the meals. So comparatively, coming to the cost part, yes, because as she told, it's also the health related thing and it's going to go with our body. So I don't mind spending much if the product is very good.
How
and
much?
there is maybe, as they told, 3,000, 2,000 per kg or 3,000. I think Whole Truth it is written 4,000 if I'm not wrong. But
That's
yeah, they
all,
would have
yeah.
definitely given discount. They would
Yeah.
have kept MRP. it's okay if it works for me.
So 4,000 is reasonable for you.
For me, yes.
About you?
Yeah, similar. So this MRP is
No, apart from
4,000,
the, I'm saying the whole
But-
protein as a thing in your lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have done that much, but I would say eggs. I would definitely have like 1 or 2 eggs every day, ideally, and that's the most reasonable thing. So that's hardly anything. And then chicken is the expensive part, chicken and paneer. But I try to incorporate that either chicken or paneer every alternate day, something like that.
Plus the protein. The protein, yeah.
Plus the protein. I got this for about 2,500, 3,000 if I'm not wrong, after discount. So I would say 5,000, 5,000.
So for me, I mean, generally fitness is a pretty expensive deal.
No,
if you're
Sathwik
taking for
spends
seriously.
10,000 for sure.
I mean, precisely that's the amount, because the math goes more like, so I have about 200.
You have a 10,000 only for protein intake.
I end up spending, because if I break down based on the amount of meat I eat, so if for example 250 grams of chicken on a day-to-day basis, so that's about 125 to 130 rupees of chicken breast, 250 grams every day, and then you have a scoop of this which costs about $100, and then 3 to 4 eggs, and then you have the other things around, so 300 easily. So you make it into a month, it's 9,000 to 10,000 rupees.
Okay.
That's the amount we spend. I mean, and 3,000 comes from this, the other is from the natural sources.
If you want to switch to a brand, which one do you switch?
Now, I would go for a superior brand, because basically you have 3 kinds
Why?
of. So that's what you have: concentrates, you have isolates, and you have hydrolysates. So the least ones, the ones that are like least processed, is the concentrates, which has a higher portion of say carbs and fats in it. This is a blend of both of it, isolate as well as concentrate, and then hydrolysate is a much more purer form. So this comes at a price point which is more affordable and something which I can have on a day-to-day basis. But eventually, once we get out of ISB with hopefully a good package, we'll go to more superior brands which has very lesser portion of say carbs and fat and has more of leucine. So basically, a protein can be broken down into 2 components. One is the content of leucine in it, and one more is the digestibility of it. So how well it gets absorbed.
So you look at all these parts while buying any new switching.
See, now that I've been loyal to ON and it's been kind of giving me decent results, I don't bother to check as much. But of course, as our lifestyle improves, as we have more disposable income, we'll look for better choices. Possibly Whole Foods could be my next, the next thing in the ladder, and then better brands beyond that. There are a lot of brands right now which are there.
Yeah.
So
You guys can try a scoop, it's okay.
no, the thing is, results don't happen instantly. Like
Do you
with
want to
fitness-
switch or else you are
No,
loyal?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do
I
you
like
actually see the results also, because you're saying about the results?
No, so consistently over a period of 2 to 3 months, you're working out, you start seeing more leaner muscles, you see your body, you see your patterns, you see, I mean, coming to even the health benefits as well. Like people do say that they have acne issues, they also have bloating issues and a whole bunch of things. So if your body is not reacting weirdly for any of these things, I think you're doing pretty okay. So that's the way you can go about it. So if you're seeing some kind of a reaction with your body, then you know that's maybe some kind of a change in your lifestyle or some kind of a component which you have added recently that's possibly creating the change. So it's more of a trial and error. And I think even the most seasoned folks who've been into fitness and into nutrition would also say that most of the things that they do is dependent on what they've experienced with certain products.
Personally, yeah.
So that's how
Yeah.
I go about it.
That's